Je chudan zoji chona la shangje bada dana chasam dagay shanzo jebe sonam je dola penjara sanje drabar sho sanje chudan zoji chona la shangje bada dana chasam je dagay shanzo jebe sonam Dalai benja sanje drabar sho sanje chudan toji janala shanje bada dana chasam che dagay shinzo jibe sonam je Dalai benja sanje drabar sho. Good morning again. Everyone get some water, tea, coffee. You know. Some people drink cold water, some people drink hot water. Some people put the ice with the cold water. Usually, I think the Asian people, they like to hot tea, hot water. I think the Westerns like to, the cold water, right? With, with iced coffee. Weather's very cold. The outside we have the snow and the freezing. The bird is there. Can I have iced coffee? What? This is how to grow up our body, right? Like Tibetan, like most Asians, I think they like to drink the hot tea, hot water. If they also can explain for the hot benefit for the hot tea and hot water, then I think the Western people also maybe they have a lot of explained for hot benefit for the cold water and cold tea and iced tea, ice water. Therefore, this is the shows for all. We all not same view or same believer or walk same thing to walk for everyone. Therefore, Buddha gives 4 different teachings, 3 different teachings to, look like contradictory because they're all different people who have different beliefs, different thoughts. Like that. Okay, now I'm not talking too much. First, we do a little bit of meditation, okay? Maybe about 15 minutes, maybe not 20 minutes. 20 minutes, maybe you guys for sleeping. There's meditation for the, Kamabari. As I mentioned before, every time you meditation Kamabari, try to same object. You don't have to change the object. First, try to find you some object, Buddha's picture, Buddha's image, if you don't need to look at the picture, you can just visualization some image like that. Otherwise, you change it today one, the tomorrow one, the next day one, it doesn't work. Therefore, always try to same object. And also that try to, I'm sure you 15 minutes, you lost your mind, maybe 15 more than 30 times. You might go, come back, but try to bring back again. Because good exercise for that time, okay? It's okay you lost, it's okay, but you need to identify you lost. Sometimes even you will lost object, but we don't recognize we lost object. Therefore, it's important to, identify your lost object. The first, just breathing meditation. When you bring in, out, just also try to focus that, exhale, inhale, we count one. Just you think, no, I'm breathing out, no, breathing in, you have to just feel something. Well, this is some technique for like a common practice for beginning that. Then visualization, object of the Buddha's image. Look here. You don't have to look that, not like that. Just that. Then try to first maybe focus at the Buddha's face. If you don't remember, you close your eyes, you don't remember what Buddha look like. Then you can also again look at the picture or whatever you have image. Then if you don't have to look, then you saw the image is like a little bit heavy, not very light. Not very light, yeah. A little heavy, like a little solid, something like that. It's also good for like light, like cursor, like that kind. Okay? Everyone ready? Yes? We can do 15 minutes. Okay. First, we know maybe a couple times to the breathing meditation. Then focus on one object, come body, okay? During that time, also try to not drink water. Not even your itch here, just try to patient. Some mouse coming here, just give them to. Okay? Because if maybe right now still we don't have any experience, but if you do more, then you can feel the experience. Then you're more interested in that. Then you really get the result, Therefore, don't be too, I don't get any benefit, I don't see any benefit there, I don't feel anything, not like that. Just try, okay? Okay, first start to bring meditation, okay? It's good to close your eyes, otherwise you're looking everywhere, then your mind go that way. No. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, okay. Now visualization, image of Buddha Shakyamuni, picture or statue or whatever you're comfortable as before what you did. First, focus the face. Then you can do also exercise of whole body, about 15 minutes. Oh, yeah. How's it? Do you have any questions about that?
Very good. Thank you, Geshe.
You're welcome. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, Karen?
So I felt very disturbed this time today. I was so aware of myself visualizing that the object of the visualization just would come in and out of my awareness. But I was mostly experiencing just knowing that I was trying to visualize. And so I guess the question is, I was trying to relax, and not be concerned about it, and then just try to go back into the visualization of the object, but I wasn't able to, so I was very disturbed. I'm not sure if I could have done anything else.
Okay. 가르도 미토와 도라도 가로. 삼도 쉬운 토로 오더라.
그도서 다 뭐라 미국 사무다 sabdel다는 뭐라 삼으로 쉬고 그도서 나 지금 땅 검자 탑시고 나 지금 삼도 나랑 뭐라 걸어 쉬고 삼으로 그도서 미국 사무다 걸어 뭐라 걸어 삼으로 쉬고 그도서
야. 시다 대 두가 게 말이야. 대 대화도 그 미바 지라도 거 남중화도 지라고 하고 말 가르카를 삼으셔요. 가르카를 소속 가딜라나 때 로샤 그러와. 그때 누가도 게 말이야.
Actually, it's not bad because, like I mentioned earlier, that you should recognize, when you are being distracted, you have to recognize. Then that's good. So you're recognizing it. So actually, at the beginning stage, that's good. It's not that bad.
배샤 코로나 열었. 삼점 배나 남도 마외 소로 로샤 그러더네. 뒤가다 남도 마 제가 남도도 무슨 거 열었라 그랬어.
Like when you get all these different thoughts in your mind, when you're trying to focus, then recognizing those thoughts, is good. So you're recognizing those thoughts, saying, "Oh, I'm thinking that. I should not be thinking that." That's good actually.
그래. 이바이나 야 텐디전에 전에 배나 삼로 땅고에다 마땅가 제자 땅데 야 우근종고 검고 그래서 우근종고 검. 우근종고 때 코랑게 터모만 비 제출하고 요사래. 샘다 말을 용하시.
And so now again, if you're not able to focus on your object, then you can go back to doing breathing meditation. So breathing meditation has this special effect, to calm your mind. So you can go back to do the breathing meditation again.
야 텐데요 다 대화 제마다 나타 소소 남토라가나 소소 남토 강 라와 강 용화 된 것은 맞지 알아 당간 내 상부도 내서 다른 코로나가 배나 특득이라고 나와 로고네 특득도 가와 로로 따위서로 소소 삼라 가래용도 대 쳔베에서 맞지다 고카카카가 로샤 그랬어.
Then if you get all these kinds of thoughts, then just recognize that you're getting those thoughts. So watch your thoughts, just like, if you have a mouse moving around in your room, then you look at the mouse where it's going, you follow the mouse just like that. Follow your mind.
근데 제다야 안 샘 코로나 야치고 속다 이태와 요소로 와kal해지네.
So if you do that, I think there is a way, to fix your mind.
내가 제주도 텐데 남도로가 다든가 용사 말에 삼네 육샤하다 말 대육샤나 아니 다때 녀바치 뭐 용거래서까지. 결국에 로사들이.
The biggest problem is that we give up, right? So when that happens, then you should not give up. You should still continue, to try to do it.
아니 다니엘라 녀벨라 당가 용사 말에 삼네요.
Yeah, so you should not lose your confidence, thinking that, I might not be able to do it like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Bob.
I always find it a bit difficult to create an image in my mind.
Yeah.
To see an image, and so I'm wondering, if it's okay at first, while you're really getting the object well, to just concentrate with your eyes on the picture for a while, not just for a few moments, but for a long time, until the image becomes really strong in your mind.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, there's a problem. Yeah, everyone, not just you guys. You just look in the image picture, then you close your eyes, you just lost. No, this is true. Therefore, first, just look the picture. Then you just say, your mind used for that. Then, like for this time, special for we meditation for the common body, just same object always, same object. Of course, you can meditation for other terms, another thing, but same object, some Buddha image, just you can look in that. If your mind, your eyes very focused that, your mind also just suck that. Yeah, that's true. You close your eyes, you just lost the image. This is everyone that has problem.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay. Yes.
I don't have a hard time imagining the Buddha because his picture's in the middle of my room. I see him all day on my altar. But I find that my mind goes to wanting to ask the Buddha for something, such as I'm having a hard time with suffering in the world, and that we need to get the vaccination. Because I was in Old Delhi in India, and I know how people live in this world, in dirt, in mud, in filth. And we need to get the vaccination to them. So I go to the Buddha and I ask him to help me. Help the world to supply the vaccination. So I probably shouldn't be doing that. So I'm sort of dynamic with the Buddha, but I should stick with his image.
Yeah, that's right. So you should just stay with the image only.
Okay.
Don't get other thoughts involved in there.
Okay.
Just no tata chila than teleco, cardboard, naboard, serboard, chijirin to some tahara, sem tikala, then a death watch order.
So, even like thinking, oh, there's, when you're thinking of Buddha, just, look at the Buddha and don't think that, oh, this is, it has a blue color or a yellow color or, right color or black color like that, so don't think like that. Don't even think like that. Just, keep your mind on one. So if you try to move your thought like that, analyzing about or describing about the object, then your mind is, moving around. So it's not going to be able to focus single pointedly.
Okay.
제상아도 난 네가 담보 단당아도 신의 공부를 요다 차주 때 아니 단다 네바시라 네방아요 왔어. 오다 테 네바도 가 테 네바도 레버가 네바도 용거 하고 와지는 때 까고 그래서.
So, and also, we talked about the 5 faults, right? About, of the karma abiding. So when you see those faults arising, then you should, try to avoid those faults.
그냥 안도 라발아야 너 자타오 깝간도 치네 섬대나. 맞아 샘대 삼섭쇼시랑 안도 타오에 맞 대포는 게 수보간도 집에나 소수 조어에서 들어야. 너 치네야 조어가 된다라야 자타오 깝간 섬대나. 아주 삼섭쇼 체크를 왔네라고 거다.
So it's like when you're holding a very hot tea in your hand, right about like above your lap, right? So on your hand, then you'll be very careful, to not spill it. Right? If you spill it, then it will, fall on your body and it will burn your body. So you are aware of that. So therefore, you'll be very careful to not spill it and pay very close attention to that. So it should be just like that.
세상에 라발에 자타오티 연대 포머니에서 그 템바디 풀로 섬대로 와서. 그 내가 셴바 제나 그 템백이 때 섬대로 와.
So like, I'm holding this hot tea in my hand. I should not spill it. So in my mind, with the mindfulness, I'm reminding myself, to not spill it. Even though I'm doing something else, I'm being very careful to not spill it.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other? And to the Toro killing the Shamba Toa Yagaro killing the Toa Yabashoro killing the.
So are you getting any good feelings from doing this meditation?
And can you symbol Hello Young do? Yamanatis 답 대원으로 용도하기.
So like a peaceful, your mind being more relaxed, feeling more relaxed, or or becoming more, easy to do meditation. Do you have any kind of that kind of experiences?
어떤 것도 삼에 제야 망할 용도.
Or it's the moment you start, to focus, and then you get more and more thoughts.
Okay. Ruth, yeah, Jennifer or Margaret.
I have the question.
Okay.
I noticed you said in last class that some people concentrate more here and some people on the heart. And I noticed that I have such a strong concentration right here. I really try to soften my eyes and relax my forehead and concentrate on breath, really going down to my belly. But still I have such an intense right here that is almost like overwhelming feeling right on my forehead. So maybe you had this experience and you can say something about that.
대체적으로 밑바닥 가려나 때문에 쪽으로나 나도 다 남백에 또 산지가 끊어져가지고 여기 전에 그 전업 첨보다 되게 재밌지 소소가 빼는 내라 때와다 소소 인가라 때와다 소소 삼라 때와다 다 남래 용용 거였어 제쪽으로 했어.
So do you mean like you're saying you're using your forehead as an object for your calm abiding meditation?
No, I follow the breath. I relax my body, and I imagine the Shakyamuni Buddha.
Okay.
But I feel intense sensations in right between my on my forehead, right between my eyebrows. And I try to relax, but it's very almost overwhelming feeling.
말한데 우중을 지기 위해서 아니 상계 셔지토바 공부 위해서라. 나 공부는 상계셔도 공부는 말한데 나도 때가 가서 따와라 되는데 미 분위기 바로 열어 따와라. 배 소수춤 줄이도서 돼 가래놨어.
네. 다들 가래나 다들 야부 이제
되는 염려에는 직선으로 나와서.
근데 시당 그 간제 저런 그 셈바 야부 쇼실에 야부 때려 따로 용 거였다. 저런 간제 셈게 초 셈데까지 유절라 야부 때려 요베게 되게 좋았대요.
So maybe it's because you're focusing so much, and like thinking about your thought in the mind, in the head. You're focusing so much on the object, so that's maybe good feeling.
삼성도 검접 주요처럼 그 너와저 지금 한 거거든. 너와저 지금 삼성 사오선으로 한번 양보선으로 지금 토와들 레그는 삼성 레그도 와대.
So yeah, when you're focusing, like you're using your mind or brain, to focus, then you feel like you get some kind of feeling, around here, this area.
근데 들이 삼성도 검들이 삼 야고탄 거랑 간도 그 배나 샘 참어도 좋고 내가 집에 갈라 토와들 레그 그랬어. 샘 참어도 좋고 내가 집에 제 토바요나 토와들 레그서로 와.
And like when you're doing meditation, if you're able to use your subtle mind, then you get those kind of feelings.
제가 단단 가지고 샘 라빠자자면 샘 참모도 좀 내가 제 도움이 많고.
So right now we're using only our gross minds, and we're not using our subtle mind at all, to think or to visualize and so forth.
옛날 단 문토네 두체다 양 안에 문토네 제양 델라의 직가로 웅암네 직. 근데 맞지 문토네 남주 강화 제와대 제대다 문토네로 봐.
So continue doing, your meditation, and in a way you do. So it might help. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Margaret.
Thank you, Geshe. I have a question about. So for me, in the beginning when I start, like it's a bit like analytical, but I try to when I think about the qualities of the Buddha in terms of the physical quality, it helps me to then form the mental image, and then I stop there. So I think about like the eyes, like the lotus, the golden hill and things like that. Once I form that mental image, then I stop. So it takes some time, but is that okay? Or, and then second question, is it that the goal for calm abiding is to train to the point where like you can get the mental image right away? Is that the goal?
그래서
다 뭐라는데 다 담보는데 미국 제도는 미국 맞아거나 미국 제약이 유리더라. 그러나 상기 좀데 고 삼담에나 고라 되는데 다 가다 고기 연대도 삼담 아니 그 진행된데 요래 아니 가서 샤된데 요래 삼는데 다 배만 하셔야 되는 삼담 대당선에 시나 되는 미국에 티카나 샤된데 지거래 되는 레베스 거래 되잖아 디거래 베스 거래 게임도 다데 가라다 가서 다 신의 고백이 미국에 가래 스타지 미국에 당아도 즉 스모 세도 잡아다 되는 따다거라 쌤 유를 내줘야 되는 자들이 왜
뭐래도 새도 잡아도 이거는 저는 새도 잡아도 세밀한 네트워크 이도 되래.
그저 뭐라 담보 줘야 돼 이거 그래서
담보지는 되게 담보 주고 재검을 때지. 아니 재검 전에 제마다 같이 근데 지난아니 다랑 되는 되게 담보 재검 되는 되게.
yeah so that's okay you know if you just think about the description of the Buddha's body first he has this kind of eye this kind of ear and that then you're analyzing about his form. Once you have analyzed and then you just put your mind on that without further thinking about the qualities or the description about the body, that's fine like that. That's how you do it. And then the goal is of course like moment you snap and then be able to focus on an object. So when you just snap your finger and be able to focus on the object. So that's the goal. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Kerry, do you raise your hand?
I did. So when I meditate, I am able to visualize the Buddha. And I feel very peaceful when I do it, but I still recognize like the noises around me, like my children yelling or the wind or stuff like that. Is the goal so you don't really recognize those things at the same time, or it's okay to sort of recognize it and then it goes?
저는 산재 딱 그때 전배 마셨나 잡로도 깨자도나 개요 말했어.
And that's 거기도 쓰다 뭐라 되죠.
꽤 고대와도 지난 그 선바판 로샤 고피반 로요 로샤 그래. 이나 다 간다라 선반 로나야 코 저랑 미에 때 맞지나다 고대는 느리다. 가서 배트코로 까도 말해. 다다.
Yeah, of course, it's not that easy from the beginning, to be able to not get distracted. Yeah, it's quite normal, for ordinary people like ourselves to get, disturbed by those kind of sounds at the back. But if you're able to hear the sound, that means your mind is going there, and then you're losing the object. So you can't be, focusing on two things at the same time. So when you're hearing that, that means yes, you're kind of losing your, focus, on the actual object, of your meditation. But then it's good, to recognize that I'm hearing this, so and then I should not listen to that. Instead, I should focus on that. So you go back again and focus on your object.
단단하도 온봉하게 이열파 이해는 그랬어. 암조 가래고는 샘 텔로샤리 미 가르도 텔로샤리 카 나라야 카라로 가리 드마고는 텔판 로샤 그래. 너한테 삼들었나 샘 텔로샤 그랬어.
So yeah, right now, our mind is very easily distracted by all these, five senses. Like when we see something with our eye, mind goes there. When we hear something, with our ear, our mind goes there. And when we smell something with our nose, mind goes there. Or when we, get some, feeling on our body, mind goes there. Yeah. So it's very easy, to get there. But, to recognize that first, is very important. Once you have recognized that, oh yeah, I should not be thinking that, I should go back, like then you bring back your mind back to your actual object.
제가 소속이 된 도거다 이만한 소속 딱 미에서 그는 것도 object 때문에 되고 맞아와 제다나 셈바도 까고 말고 그런 거 발라도 그래서 생각 라도도 당가 가는 것sem 내로도 내로도 장자 섬다나 컨트롤 까도 말해.
And so, yeah, it is normal, for the mind, to be driven, towards those objects. But it's most important thing is to like think of your object, the actual object, whatever object you have chosen to think, just focus on that. So however strong focus on you have on that much less distraction you will be on others. Because like I said, mind cannot be on two objects at the same time. So when you are thinking of this, then that doesn't come. So there's no way like you can't think, oh, I'm going to forget that, and I'm going to think. And it's not like that. So just think on that, and that will be forgotten.
배치는 나도데 강바치기나라 쪽대 줘요봤지 무쪽고 쪽대를 가나 내가 제야 되겠나 아니 다 소소 방아리 제거다 아니 나도 소소도 마치지 아 코코 지금도 뭐뭐지 파 콘도 따든다 소소 제다 사고 말아와 다 콘도 제거다 소소소 나가 제다 와이나 아니 콘도 제야 되 저런 소리 내가 말아와.
So it's like you have 10 people working on 10 different tables. Yeah, and you're doing your work, but then instead of doing your work, you say, "Oh, is he doing or not? Is she doing or not? What is she doing?" Like that. And if you think like that, then you're not focusing on your table. So if you are focusing on your work, on your table, and then you get your work done, and then other people's doing or not doing what they're doing doesn't disturb you. Doesn't interrupt on your job. To do your job on the table.
오케이 다들 다 전에 접서 드네라고나 다두 전에 지나도 뒤수셔나 니마 따바고 미리 제오 맞아와지 전에 접을까 가래라 뭐가 다가나 전에 곰때때 잡아다 때때 고 가래 뇨아 템 그래.
So anyway, like that, so try to meditate on the daily basis, to actualize the and calm abiding. And like I said, don't change your object. Keep the same object every day. All the time, keep the same object, and then then you'll get the progress. Otherwise, you get distracted on this and that, and it will be hard to find any progress in that.
Okay, 다 곰래 제다 다들만 다 되지 다 대신에 곰타와지. 아니 다 가상가도 다 견제 명화 내용이 말로 나제 냠적은 샤주 생겨다 되만 로기다.
So now that's calm abiding meditation, and now we're going to go through that teaching on developing the mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta through equalizing and exchanging self with others.
아니 다 된다고 소소고 아니 냠레데 야보 영화가 제더 아니 간도 연락되게 냠레 다 단계 간도 가들 하지 않도 받을 텐데 제사be 다 손은 독사 차버렸어.
So in order to be successful in that practice or that practice to be successful, we do like seminal prayers or seminal practices, which we already did with the Lam Zopa Rinpoche yoga.
다 뒤질라 아니다 소소고 냠레데 야보 영화가 제더 아니 지금 소소질라 아니 지금 신에 대해서 똑바 야보지 제거고 완전 신에 대해서 똑바 야보지 제버쇼 내절라 신에 대해서 똑바 야보지 제거고 대제와라 산제다 자주도 신제라로 나세 어 드네도 까막 직다 드네데 삼고레스.
And then also or want to be able to gain any experiences or realizations, it is important of the realizations of the path. It is important to have a proper guru devotion. So also think about having a proper guru devotion and request the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to bless you to be able to have that proper guru devotion. So think on that for about a minute.
다 뒤질라 아니 다 간소 지금 아니 톱가가 밀리 림보체 토자반다 밀리데 아니 다 동세도 마토 밀리데 야보체기 예서 마테네도 삼보레스 단조니야 가세데.
Then after that, think about this profitable rebirth, which is very difficult to achieve. And so once you have achieved it, once achieved, will not waste it. And so will not waste it, and rather make it meaningful.
아니 된대게 밀리 야보도 코 이런 보시라 매와 인자 아니 강 요한테 아니 돈다가 지기 섬로.
And that kind of good rebirth, will not last forever. So we'll make a good use of it while it's still alive.
아니 수수 누가 들었잖아. 되게 레서 레전드에도 정말 소설을 매용 거래. 아니 되게 전에 아니 수수 링아 였음도 수수 답어야 보자고 인삼로.
And so, so if we create non-virtuous actions, the result of those non-virtuous actions will be experienced in a form of suffering by oneself. And so, so I should not create any non-virtuous actions, and therefore I'm going to control my body, speech, and mind from creating the non-virtuous actions.
아니 되게 아니 랭이 되고서나 되게 아니 양종 거라 지금 거라잖아 다 간제 깨가나 지금 동아 짱짱 레상 거를 맞지 가지고 너 섬로.
And then with that non-virtuous actions, if I am born in cyclic existence, then I have to go through all those sufferings of aging, sickness, death, and so forth. And so therefore I should not create any cause for myself to be born in cyclic existence again.
오야 다들 응도 추지 응도 때지 추단 바스 신년 때서 단전예가 저와마도 봐 레전드 고베님은 다때때서 공고요레스.
And so those are the preparatory practices. So that's starting with the guru devotion, profitable rebirth, death and impermanence, calming low cause effect, and then the disadvantage of the cyclic existence. So you should spend some time contemplating or meditating on those.
어제 가진 코알라 마샤오지 마쳐버테 공고는 코알라 마차바시 마차 그런 코알라 마차별로 마쳐버다 다나가도 코알라 차대요래.
And so we have to meditate, on until we are able to develop the mind that is not attached to the cyclic existence. So right now, our mind is very attached to the cyclic existence.
다들 내 치서가 갈랐더니 당이지 자주고 semjo가 갈랐다 아니 단다 돈len 공고요 이말와.
And then, in doing the actual practice of developing the mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta, we have to meditate on tonglen, taking and giving.
어제 다 대집에 갈라 간제 소소라 천디가 까디 체조 그 sem체 진도들 섬로가 아니 대라 가리가 노도 아니 먹여봐가 노도 가리가 팽도 계획의 팽도 제가 그 제지 안에 지금 먹게 동화 강요 받아 나랑 출량이요. 나라지 계획 강화 연바다 콜라 파타네 코랑게 내바도 전 접송 삼도 제다 가서 그냥 다 몸부셔서 봐.
And so for that, you think about a person or a being, who has been most kind to you, and then think about that person, what he or she wants. It's a happiness and a virtue. What he or she doesn't want, is a suffering or non-virtue, which brings the suffering. And therefore, imagine taking all the sufferings and the cause of the sufferings, the non-virtuous actions or delusions upon yourself, and then think of giving them the happiness they want, and the cause of happiness, the virtuous mind, to them. So just like that. So we have already talked about this a lot before. So think like that.
다 사지에서 맞쟁이 샤절람도 좋아서 가장 마음을 주시대 봤어.
And then, so then the third section is about converting the circumstances, the bad circumstances, adverse circumstances, into the path to enlightenment, right?
제가 안에 깽의 계획 꼴만 있어야 되네요, 그래서.
So there's a saying that the bad or the adverse conditions are stimulus to the virtuous action.
제가 가서 미수도 소위 말해야지. 깽이라고 강이라고 하는 신이 다시 치우지. 다 답시 만보치네 답시들 마다나 다 추체고 누구사면 그런 것들 얘기요.
And so this is very normal for many of us, all of us, right? So when we face some difficulties, then we think about practicing Dharma, doing something good, So that kind of, so that makes, that adverse condition made us, to do the good, virtuous actions of Dharma. Therefore, it kind of induces us to practice Dharma.
이제 다도 제가 간제 소소라야 지금 슐록 아니 다 받치 드릴라 쇼네 아니 소소 난게 셈충도 가지 용거로 와. 다 아니 데모트가 제고 요말 봐.
And so usually when we get those kind of, when we face those kind of adverse conditions, then that disturbs our mind a lot, right? And so, by understanding the Dharma and Karma, it is important to make sure that our mind is not disturbed so badly.
와. 아니 다도 참 다 텐디기 아니 깽에 쇼나 소소 셈충도 받아 가르치는 정도나 알아치바도 젠데들도 삼. 아니 다 라체들이 깽야 들마 삼고 그래.
And so what makes us to be so disturbed by that kind of adverse condition, is because of the self-cherishing mind. And then think about this, the disadvantage of the self-cherishing mind also.
아니 소소라 삼로 다네야. 아니 쇼준다라고다. 당에 셈 아무나 이 계란기야. 다지 깨네 단다가 마셔 받아 까봐 몸볼라야. 나와 친구 갈래 쳐보니나 추워 란데 짱짱 덤네. 아니 제가 동아버지 마중 말레스. 제가 그 가만히 마시고 그래서.
And so just like it is said in the Guide to the Buddhist Life, you can think, or you can talk to yourself. I think this because of listening to your self-cherishing and self-grasping ignorance mind, and you've been experiencing all these sufferings and problems since beginningless time till now.
쇼준은 도와 아니 지때 아니 가로. 지때는 세와 강화 요바다. 아니 지바다 등아째 요바데 대다가 다드만 내려 shum아인다. 제첸 대고 달라치지 아스콜은 제세 메타네 단드라. 다 종알 가르치고 그래. 수수 계시고 그래서.
And so in the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, it says that all the problems, all the sufferings, all the obstacles that we face is because of our self-grasping ignorance mind. So and so you should talk to the self-grasping ignorance mind, address it as a ghost or demon, and say that you've been bringing me all this problem till now.
아니 제자가 아니 양도 들어와. 아니 체지 아니 코라 코 가르 체지 코보 갈라비 겐지 틴데 대신 니티장 년동 다지 강다로 체지 저거 근좀샤 가제 다 저랑이 가진 소득이라 단선 안전 디기 개완에 단답받아 아니 게 저랑 가라 년이 가정한 거가 당시아스 다네 하고서 땅을 가죽한 얘기면 어떻게 삼고 그래서.
And then also you should think that till now I've been listening to you, you the self-grasping ignorance mind. Till now I've been grasping, and I've been listening to you, and because of listening to you, and I've been experiencing all these problems and sufferings. And from now on, I'm not going to listen to you at all.
다니 nga te go mu nga den dog mu nga ji cha lo so ka ji nga shu chen bo da ta sam no ta nor de ta te la kap te cha go res.
And so it's just like I, so like always grasping at the I. I'm going to, there's something going to happen to me. I'm going to do like this. I'm going to do that, like that. So that mind, is mistaken, and we have to fight against that mind.
텐데 이 단즈 ngan즈 다 단즈 ngan즈 배나 나라 이 삼 슈치 뭐라 ngan즈 슈치 뭐 텐데 슈 가데 쳐봤던지 아니 소소레 때서 민 토알에는 때랑 차도 게 그래서.
And so, and because of that mind, grasping at the self, grasping at the self, mind. Because of that, then whenever we see somebody who is higher than ourselves, or who is doing better than ourselves, we get jealousy.
아니 마와라야 아니 니치용 그래서 다 가도 다 담을라 지금 머리게 니치 당하지 다 뭐뭐 여러 왔어.
And those who are lesser than ourselves or lower than ourselves, then we look down on them.
다 나중에 소소도 냠도 레와나 다 tel라야 가지 제섬지 그랬어.
And those who are equal to ourselves, who have this competitive thought towards them.
제자 대대다 다나 나도 될라야 다 나도 지진 않을 때 개어 말아 아니 지금 먹어내자 하거내자 돈적인데서 너와 강연 받아서 참아 아니 nganzu nga se shuchi mbote ba yong resha tane da ta ani kya kanyeng me esra ba.
And also, that's called that I mean, it's not much believed in the West, about the spirit harms, naga harms, and so forth. And so, actually, it says there are such kind of harms which are also caused by the self-grasping ignorance mind.
봐. tene yeza ani karso. 도 치는 삼지 상로 도 치다지라 봐. 아니 내 까데메 교신이 담아서 가르쳐는 봐. 아니 가로 교신이 지금 매지 아니 가르쳐나 내는 안에 샘지 카고라 님분 동통치 손에 대요스 아니 텔레전지 쯤에 에슬라 봐 말이스 샘라야 뉴모들 깨도 못해서 텔레야 동 숨네 아니 딸이 되고 나 신발 미세 줘야 개게 메스 아니 코로나 해봐이나 나야를 아니 코 전부이나 나의 전부이 있어 어두실라 봐 말이.
So just like the Kadamba masters say that they are watching their mind all the time, by being like a bot, like a security guard. Like in ancient time, they will hold the spears, right, in the gate, of the palace, and they hold the spear in their hand, and then make sure that no enemies goes in. So just like that, you hold the spear, and guard your mind, and see if the delusions are coming or not. If delusions coming, then you stop it right there. With that, if the delusions is very strong, then you become also strong. If the delusion is more soft or relaxed, then you can be relaxed also.
안에 delusion 가디 슈체와는 텔라 갑자기 슈체라기도 해요.
Yeah. So, however, stronger delusions you have, that much stronger the anti-force you should develop towards that.
어다 돈도 딱 가데베 교신의 두 지나 삼다. 당 안도 두딴 거예요. 당 안도 바지 간들 땡에 상절놈도 줘봐 세바데 단대 갑라야. 아니 안도지 간제 동아치주 가세 이제 쇼와였나야. 나도 가디나 코치마서 뭐치마서 가디나 답 미셴발 파가 대마이 바지. 대 나랑게 다들 되게 쥐어지는 안데 총송 삼체 또또 다타사데 당들었다고 그래. 소리지 당들었다.
And so, yeah, so just like that, we should try to practice just like the Kadamba masters, like seeing the delusions as enemy, delusions, our own deluded mind, as the real enemy. And if that is soft and relaxed, then you'll be relaxed. If that is strong, then you'll be strong and face it, with the right antidote. And so usually, we always blame to others. Whenever bad things happen to us, we always blame to others. Because of him, because of her, I'm experiencing this and that and so forth. But from now, we should understand that it is not others that is causing these problems or sufferings to us. It is our own self-cherishing and self-grasping ignorance mind. And so therefore, we should always blame everything that bad happens to us to our self-cherishing and self-grasping ignorance mind.
오다 두시에는 곰자고다 다 텐리지는 곰자고다 다양 늘마시다 오늘도 다 먼저 마시에는 그 도에스케요 말고 마무시에 빼셔놨다 빼셔 강간 담으나 모시에로 다 시에다보다 곰자고도 왔어.
And so it's this is the thought that we have to develop, by meditating on it, not just knowing it. Yeah, we all know, we have read so many books, right? So we have listened to so many teachings, and through that we know. But now it is time, to meditate, and put into practice. So that's more important.
다 담봉아도 전화도 제공도 되시고 다 잠블리라 양도 다 잠블리라 강이 쇼 여러 와 티나는 미세디 빼녀로서 버려 와 밀라 대체 요와 쳇데 샘제 젬바 미 젬바라야 아니 배첸다 마다다 입춘다 마다체 강조뭐 제가 여러 와
and then now like try to do this meditation by analyzing about the problems, right? Especially the human beings, how much problem the human beings are causing. Human beings have a very strong desire, like very desirous, want to have this and want to have that. Because of that, they cause so much harm to the environment, so much harm, to the animals, and so think about all these problems.
나도 잡을 때도 잠보쳐 요 말다. 잡을 간가라 가든나 나도 미세다 빼매다 내가 첨보라. 미소 쪼외 챘다. 밀레 야포 용어 챘다. 밀레 칼라 야포 용어 챘다. 가지 심지 젬바 사망도 배제 당하셔요.
And so, so all these problems, are created by human beings, right? So human beings, we consider human beings, as so important, So in order to survive, the human beings, to maintain and to survive the human beings, to keep the human beings healthy and happy, we use all other, others. We misuse all other beings, the environment, the animals, and all this. We create so much problem for them. To bring happiness, for the human beings.
Yeah,
I'm not just talking about human beings here, all the human beings in the world, human beings, all the world, very problematic.
때문에 세거다. 때문에 달라면 되게 되면 가지 락세단의 희귀로 세기로 멤버 간단.
So in order to protect one human being, from the disease, they go through, causing so much harm, to how many animals, right?
제가 나도 배나 나도 남백에 세나 안에 sem제 참아 최소나 마트에 가지 공부본에 소화형에다 나도 나지 찍바 찍이하래 대바 찍도 누가 문대바 찍도 연락이 오래서.
According to Buddhism, all the sentient beings are equal, right? They're all same in wanting to be happy and not wanting any suffering. So you can't consider this being more important than the other beings. So you can kill this the lesser important beings, to protect, or to survive the more important being like that. That's not correct.
얘나 다가 라레타 도는 라레타 도만 남바는 것도 샤상에 가대요. 빡빡공 가대요.
So that's the reality, but doesn't mean that all the Buddhists, all the beings, all the human beings who consider themselves as Buddhists or who claim themselves as Buddhists are able to practice that. No, right? Because there are so many Buddhists who eat meat and who wear leathers.
제가 다 도지 파셔와 다 강들배나 나도 매지 미기 수보가라 맞제병에다 샘제 가슬을 때문에 세거다. 또 따다 전부 말아와서.
So, like even the medicines that we use for human beings, they are first tested on animals, right? Just to just to make sure that this medicine works okay on human being, and they test it on other animals, and that way they, I don't know how many animals are killed and cause problem to them, right?
얘나다 나도 미게서 미세 미세 나랑 딱 미 속세도 따치 못하니 파줘월 전에 삼천 땅거 말이다. 또 오늘 노르데다. 제가 텐디자자 제네기 당도 나비 추쇼나 제나 아니 나도 가디나 잠도 용되요 그래서.
And so, so because of thinking of ourselves as very important, and then not caring about others, not caring about, because of that, then we create so much negative karma, so many negative karmas in many different ways like that. And so, according to Buddhism, that's not correct.
제가 가지 람년 말아왔다. 람년 말아왔어.
So it's not considering equal to ourselves, right?
얘나다 간조배나 가라서배나 다 가라는 다 남백을 잡아면 그냥 간조거든데 그 소송원에 잠조 제토 말까지 그 소소 사연 도약 제도까지 배제 당대요 왔어. 제가 간조 탐이 대도 용화대 다 나세가 랑치버트 진도 슈체라는 거요 그래서.
And so yeah, this is the fact about all the human beings. So even myself, being a monk, I can't stop that, right? I in order to survive, I eat meat, exploit all other beings and animals and so forth, to do that. So anyway, so all these problems that we are facing and creating problems for others is because of self-cherishing mind and self-grasping ignorance.
제가 다 둘이 소소고 레몬 사용하다 딜레진 되올라 가서 아니 다 리라 나타 샘라 동아 강에 차 방어도 용거래. 근데 갑라 다 샘마시마고 그래. 다 되는 것이 무척 그래.
So, and because of that, right? Because of that, we consider, and because of the self-cherishing mind and self-grasping ignorance, and we consider ourselves as more important, and then therefore we create, bring more problems for others, bring problems to other beings, misuse them, or exploit them, and so forth for ourselves. And because of that, we created so many negative karma, and the result of those negative karma, we experience all these kind of sufferings and diseases, in our life. So we have to understand that, and therefore, therefore, we should blame to ourselves, by thinking that, oh, this is my own karma. This is because of my own karma that I'm going through this. Because of this, our collective karma, we're all experiencing this pandemic and so forth like that. So by thinking like that, we don't get discouraged, don't lose like a hope, always blaming on others, but blame to ourselves, for our own karmas.
제가 안에 대다 람람 남람 두도 네 추마테면 지텔랑 고 코네 이거와라 다너 출라카와 같은 체 남도 곰 사랑걸로 체탄시나 동아지 장 추녀 출라 또비 깬다와시 세스 어떤도 내가 도
And so because of not understanding that, until now, we've been creating negative karma, like in that way, because of not understanding that, And now you understand that, so, so it's all because of me, because of my karma, that I'm going through all these problems and sufferings. And now, so I should not create any kind of this kind of, any more of this kind of negative karmas like that. And so that way, so whatever problem that you are facing, and then we should be thankful to those problems and sufferings because they make us to practice Dharma.
어디 두지는 그러면 딱 간지 단다 소소라 강해도 답변나 단다 넘을 딱 강해들 쇼다 단데 선지 심득이 레기 쇼와를 했으라고 그러와 아니 제자가 내 쇼와데 미창마 나나나나 장제 나티 마샤와치 내 쇼와를 제자다 간지 나도 장원에 때 나다들에서 딱 난득이 쇼와다 마셔와 제고 노섬에 딱 검자고 그래.
So the problem that we all are facing now, the pandemic, we're all facing a problem with now. And it's the result of our collective karma. It's said that it's the result of our collective karma. And what made that, what made us to create those negative collective karma, is again self-grasping ignorance. So self-grasping ignorance, self-cherishing mind. And because of that, we created those negative karma, and because of that, we're experiencing the result in that form of pandemic. So, so we should always think that it is the self-cherishing attitude and the self-grasping ignorance that's creating all these problems. So therefore, we should meditate to not develop those kind of self-cherishing mind or self-grasping ignorance anymore.
아니 다는 지금 몇 심바지가 소소라 지금 강해도 되어야나 아니 샘고 콜라고 아니 간지 코라야니제 다 미시모베 영화데 체네 아니 단단된 저기 녀바사 녀바디가 코라라 동아 연거래 삼네 코라 니제 공고 그래서
And also, when somebody actually gives hard time to us, does something bad to us or harm us in some way, then instead of getting angry towards that person, we should think that, oh, that person is driven by the delusion, driven by his delusion, to do those things. And by doing that, he's creating negative karma, and now he's going to experience suffering in the future. Oh, poor guy. Now, thinking like that, you should meditate and you should develop compassion towards the person.
아니 미텔라 수족이 이제 곰터나 아니 수족이라 콘도들 나가 말해.
So if we are able to think, if we are able to develop compassion like that, by thinking in that way towards that person, then we will never get angry towards that person.
오다 당분들이 콜에 제공 약보 책으로 삼라 약보 따나 아니 삼라 알레 텐데 인사레 삼다한테 그래. 제공 맞잖아. 고 나도 켈레도 깔리 가오요래.
So for this kind of thought, to be developed, first you have to, of course, do the analytical meditation, analyze what is like that, it's like that, it's like that, because of that. So then you come to say, yeah, that's true. it's because of his because of being driven by the delusion. You know, he's doing that, and by that he's going to create negative karma. Poor guy. And, you know, so you think like that, then you come to understand. Yes, you know, it is a right, you know, to be compassionate to that person instead of getting angry, and then you can hold onto that thought. So yes, you know, I should not be angry. I should be more compassionate towards that person. Like that. Then it will make sense, you know, to be able to do that. Otherwise, you know, if you don't think about all the reasons and just, you know, make yourself to think, you know, of having compassion towards that person, it will be very difficult to have that.
Why? 다 니지도 곰 좋아, 당도 니지도 곰 거다. 내가 뭐 보시면.
So now we're going to meditate on compassion for a little while. Okay.
베나 단데 가블라탄 좀블라 토염 네두키 아니 좀블리 뭐저 참말 강게들의 treatise 아니 미참마 아니 지금 가르고 아니 라치메드비 젠득이 영화한테 제네 되게 레서 레전드고 인자 아니 삼제도 참마 동아다잖아 점으로 travel 체치 됐삼쇼.
And so now think about all the people, all the beings, you know, experiencing their problems. You know? And so they're experiencing these problems, and because of the self-cherishing attitude, and because of having created, you know, negative karma through the self-cherishing attitude, they experience the result, you know, in this form, you know, of the sufferings. And so may they be free from this suffering. How wonderful it will be if they are free from this suffering. So think like that for a little while. So that's meditating on compassion.
Okay. 뭐야, 오다도 지나 곰데 다 강들 되는 사람도 다네. 다 소소라 지랭이 양지 지 두어들의 강의들의 쇼가를 탄데 쿠체소 무체소 파카말로지. 소소의 제샤비 레전드가 이 삼바이나 아니 테스 가제 소소 대삼바다 쿠체소 삼바니 아니 소소 체소 삼바티 테 셈테스 만투가 펜토고서 그래. 아 담치 못
By thinking in this way, so if you know, are able to blame yourself, you know, so when bad things happen to you, you know, instead of blaming on others, you know, if you're able to blame to yourself, then your mind will be less disturbed.
아니 야 대야 소소변다 소소를 대 소소 지하다 소소 미시 모병 참아 하 거지는 지와 마인다 야 소소 코로사에 말스.
And so because, you know, you're not doing it intentionally, right? You did it, you know, out of ignorance. You know, so out of ignorance or self-grasping ignorance, you did that, and therefore you are experiencing this. So this is your own fault. You know, if you think like that, you know, so you won't get angry toward yourself because you didn't do it intentionally. You know, you did it out of ignorance, so you won't get angry to yourself.
Okay, 당가도 지나 곰잡지 가려 된다 가려 되나? 간제 수수 세만두가 제대로 세만두가 탑시지 단다 아무래 제요.
So what is the purpose of meditating in this way? You know, is to not disturb, is to protect your mind from being disturbed. You know, and so we're applying all these different kind of means, you know, to protect your mind from being disturbed.
Okay. 어디 대진 공자다. 다 되는 내가 최유로보다 남주변나 소소소 쇼케야 나네 다 드링아야 나야 저한테 오늘 까와서 보쇼 삼까지 소소대 가와 거면 내가 작은도 돼.
And also, it's important, you know, to rejoice yourself, you know, by thinking that you have been born as a human being and you have been able to wake up. You didn't die last night. This morning, you're able to wake up. So it's very good thinking like that. You rejoice upon yourself.
근데 미카지 계산님은 타마 차대래서. 미카지 대리님은 라스트 차로 그래서.
So for some people, yesterday was the last day of their life. So for some people, it's going to be, today is going to be their last day of their life.
제가 간도 대 많이 받이 가와 삼보래. 대 소소 가와 공부 그래서.
But it was not for us. So we should, think that we're very fortunate, that this is, or yesterday or today is not the last day of our lives. So we're still alive and very fortunate, to be alive like that. Thinking like that, rejoice in our karma.
아니 아직 소소야지 내가 로마가 오지 나를 열려 되어 들어놨다. 아니 뭐네 지금 가로 샘제 얘기 까릴라 때는 내가 내 제지 좋아돼. 아니 야 가오레스 가지한테 소소 가지 쪼지 되고 그래서.
And then, not having to go to work, but be able to stay home and do your own stuff. So it's by the kindness of others, and I've been able to do that. And so, stay home, happily, gladly.
아니 내가 로경에다 내가 가서 비즈니스다. 내가 간제 난들이 내들이 토바대 한 건데 뱀부터 야보치고서 아니 내 전에 뭐보지 팬토고서 가지 쪼지지나 소소 내가 대강에서 가 말이야.
And then those of you who have to go to work, you can say, "Oh, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to go to work. By doing this, I can benefit so many other people." And so, happily and gladly, go to work. Then it will not be very stressful, to go to work.
오케이. 제가 가디나 가로 소소 내 가사 가디나 소소 액셉트걸 가리네. 소소 액셉트나 강에다 돈이 제타지는 가자로 그래.
So like I said, before, if you accept it, if you accept, the problem, then, it becomes very easy, to deal with the problem.
나도 미게 따체줘도 돈 받으러 왔어. 내가 못토이 되나? 그래서 엑스 마치나 되게 제대 샘리 짜자지네 라소 줘야니까 그래서. 근데 가래나에서 그 돈한테 개마지 그때 시원하고 말했어.
So like our among our body parts, we consider our face is the most important, right? For the look wise, face is most important. So even if you get a small pimple on your face, you get very irritated, right? Disturbed. And, but if you don't care about this so much, then it doesn't matter. It won't disturb you. If you accept it, it's okay. It's coming, it's going, and it's okay like that. If you think like that, then it doesn't bother you so much. Doesn't disturb your mind. But some people, they just keep on thinking on that. Then that small thing can cause them to suicide.
제가 그 액셉트 마치 빼는 거야. 액셉트네 전에 때 매와 탑시 제고말라고 말. 안고 봐 고에는 고생되기로 봐. 고에만 자생되기랬어.
So yeah, so it makes big difference, whether you accept it or not. But doesn't mean that when you accept, you should just like ignore it. Of course, if there's a way to get rid of it, you should do that. If you cannot get rid of it, just leave it there.
다 들행아도 아니 다 강하자면 다 들행아도 깽이 잔절람도 절세야 되게 도도대 가래에서나 가서도 깽이 가래 존나 야가 존나 아니 수술래 개변 되어봐 누가 존나 레메 개변 되어봐 대양 레드 상이 소소연봐 아니 수술 야보지나 가와금 아니 누가 존나 왔다는 데다 내다고 책임에서 다 들리지고 그래.
And so in the gist, of having talked about this converting, the unfortunate circumstances into the path to enlightenment, is that whatever good or bad happens, to us, is because of our own positive and negative karma. And so we should not blame to others, but instead, think of this, as our own, as the result of our own negative karma. And so it says, so it's because of my negative karma that I'm experiencing this suffering. So from now on, I'm not going to create, any more negative karma. And then if good things happen to us, then think of that as the result of our positive karma, and then we rejoice on that.
아니 야보 대답 쓰다세 나라 가 요한데 나지 사마라 요마쇼 and 들이야 가와금 사람다고 그랬어.
And then also you can think of other beings. So just like all the good things that I have, may other beings have that too. Like that, you can think about that kind of happiness and joy on others as well.
안 소속 강에 대원 왔다 내 다우 쓰지라 마요 와쇼. 나한테 영화도 샘제 참아 영화도 고쳐버리시오. 다 대도 당도 탐에게 노동을 왔다 대다시.
And so whenever bad things happen to us, and this is, just like I don't want to experience, others don't want to experience it either. So so may others not have this kind of problems. And by my experiencing this, may I be able to take all their sufferings on their behalf, on behalf of them. May I be able to experience this suffering for them, so they can.
가상도 다 돈이제 다 예지 동화도 달라 용어서 다 근데 총성 알아 삼아지 알아 총성 좀 가와 공고 그래서.
And then also you can think that as you experience that problem or suffering, and think that you've been able to take their problem, so because you are doing this Tonglen practice of taking their suffering upon yourself. So now you're experiencing this suffering and think that you have been able to take their suffering. So be happy to be able to for experiencing the suffering by thinking that you've been able to take their sufferings upon yourself.
아니 소소가 랭amba 40배 내가 단다 쇼한테 아니 되게 약포질의 총성삼 아니 단에서 된 대단데 레사가면 네 레데 내가 뇨모가 총서 야보 총서 삼고 근데 다 람름 다 로저도 요랬을 때.
And so this is a good time also to experience this suffering, because you can handle it in many ways. So it's very good that this is happening now at this time, and the result of this will not have to it's experienced in that form of suffering that I'm experiencing now. It didn't have to lead me to be born in the lower realms. So this is very good that this is happening now. So like that, when you can even be happy over those bad things happening to you now. And so this is how it is advised to think in the Lam-rim and mind training teachings.
Okay. 도저는 삼로다 아니 삼로 도저는 가지 곰잡 아니 된데 강에 좀 가라 수수 세 많죠 같이 아니 수수 삼 야고 따시나이나 아니 다 로종 다 야고 로요래.
And so if you are able to think in that way, and especially at the times, when you are facing difficulties, then, you've been doing good study and meditation.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm not stopped to talking. Yes, Bob?
So when I think about having the thought of blaming myself, then I tend to feel like I'm inherently bad. And so I'm wondering if we think, but what seemed helpful to me was if I blame my self-grasping ignorance and blame my self-cherishing mind, if I think in that way, then it feels that feels effective. So I'm wondering if that's correct to if I just blame, instead of blaming myself, blame my self-grasping ignorance and blame my self-cherishing mind.
So?
네, 나 소소 견주에 참라라. 네 저번 나 독자에서 참라. 네디 란진지 로드 독자에 나 진지 로드 나 가서 나 진지 로드 독자에 삼바이나티 코랑기 가서 코랑스나 데 펜도 쳐 통도사. 근데 삼도 되는 레벨스 왔다. 소소라. 네 저번에 삼다만 따데 뭐네 코랑 나시 코랑 독자에 삼도스. 하나 다디 로이 저번에 삼는데 데 거디 팽가로 지도스. 디레벨스.
다들 저와도 빼야오죠. 대 망보진 거거든. 네 제발 수수 belem chemada 수수가 다 그런 말이 봐 수수 미시 봐 텔 belem che고래서.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, many people might be thinking in the same way. So no, of course, not to blame yourself, but blame to your negative minds.
배나 가도 못하 다와이나. 네 미시 봐 되게 다바라면 네 다와 말아와서. 나라 담도 요 말아와.
So like when you get into accident, when you hit somebody, right? You got distracted. That distraction mind caused to hit somebody, right? You didn't hit. You don't have an intention to hit. So if you don't blame to yourself, if you blame to yourself, then it has to be you who wanted to hit. You didn't have that thought. So it is that mind, or lack of attention, or or disturbed mind that caused the accident. So therefore, you should blame to that mind.
Yeah, okay. 제다 단다 저한테 쉬운줄 내가 주받으려다 대나 빼야 보여다.
And so you should read, the 6th chapter of the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, and it's very good in there.
Not just you that. 저한테 삼도당 대 간에나 삼도나 아니 쉬운줄 내가 주받은 거나 빼면서 야 보여래.
So anybody who is thinking in that way, you should read that chapter, the 6th chapter of the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, and It explains very well in that.
Tina Pema Boyer, Penam Diga, Dig Shuayana. The Chop Kondo Del Sageta, de Shunga Kaza Sadana. And they are not Shunga Kaza and Della Drama Yomares. They go meeting Pechetajos and to Tuchikon Divide. They made a middle Rama and met a Mishimo Maribati resident to the Tasitayores.
And so usually, there's the amendment in that chapter, in the 6th chapter of the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life. It talks about, like when somebody hits you with a stick, who do you get angry towards? To the stick or to the person? And then, of course, we will all say, no, I'm going to get angry to the person because the stick doesn't have a mind. The stick doesn't have an intention, to hit me. It is a person who made the stick, who used the stick, to hit me. And then there's, in the same way, the person doesn't have the control over himself. It is his delusion who made him, to hit. So therefore, if you want to become angry, then you should become angry towards his delusion, not to him.
Okay. 제가 소소도 소소 녀문이 가샤 그래. 가 소소 녀문 말해.
See, you and your delusions are different, right? You are not same. You are not your delusion. Your delusion is not you. You are separate, separate things, right?
Okay. 대나 창라고 대변는 거 좀 말해. 소소 노트가 돼. 소소 녀모 되기 전에 노트 좀 말해. 녀모 되서 가게 말이 빠디스. 나도 되서 그래서.
So that's a very good, question Bob brought up. It's, because it's not you, it's your delusions.
Okay. Okay. Who? Okay, Deborah.
In the text, it mentions that some of our problems come from spirit harm, but Geshe said that most Westerners don't believe in spirits and the harm they can cause us. So does that mean if you don't have any belief in them, you can't be harmed by them? Or we don't understand where our problems are coming from?
그래도.
다만 저 다긴데 데이너바다 가서 지금 가서 루비 노바다 데이너바는 세죠. 근데 저는 것도 되네 노초바도 저기 싫어 이제 지금 말했을 거라서. 나 고도 이제 지금 매서 되는 고도로 노바 이거 말해봤어.
그때 간제 잠좀 가도 때 너와 신경 말했어 가지. 너와 연나 내가 신경 말해. 대소수가 가지 미시 몸배운 거 내가 전에 애네 때는 할을 투는 것들이 연구요래서.
너보다 이거래.
너도 연구요 되는 가서 때 너와도 다 개말하던 것도 신경 말았어.
Yeah, so it's because you don't believe, therefore you don't know. It doesn't mean you won't experience it.
근데 되는 애들
ignorantly you do something bad, and then something bad happens to you, and you think of something else, and you do that, and nothing seems to help, and then because it was caused by these kind of harms like that.
근데 나도 배배를 lögne 와서 이렇게 저도 다 고년 lö내서야지 lögne 와서지. 대군에 lögне 여기서 말아 나도를 판다 왔지나 아니 lö드 코란 시여더라 lö드를 강이 좋아데 되게 제지는 나도를 쓰는 것도 연구해서라.
배나 간다셔다 배셔는.
배쳐진다 나도 배나 당연도 배배를 지겨를까지 찜바 따마죠 찜바 따다 시대를 꼬마죠 꼬와이나 아니 다 믿을라 지금 말 소보라 마배들 연구를 했어. 가르쳤는데 소수 대처와데 그게 lö드를 건너서 와이자 되게 제지니 아니 lö드 나사도 마트라바도 소소를 막 보게 했어. 어떻게
소보라 근데 육식이다.
저도 여자만 나도 배배를 놓서들 여다.
육식이다 근데.
대대 납쇼바 용쓰기로 와이나 다티 콜로 내자 개 켈랭 말아. 대다 코 다지
시다고 뭐라 마트라다 근데 소볼 마트는 뭐 보고도.
대기한테 다티 코 따데네 두 소마세다 신들 직들도 뭐야 코도 대 켈랭 말아 와서.
So yeah, it's just because you don't believe doesn't mean that you don't get the harm. You might still be getting harm, just that you didn't know. You didn't know that you were getting that harm from that. In Tibetan, it could be that people have some problem, right? Especially with in Tibetan we talk about naga problem all the time. So they're very careful about peeing in the places like outside, and they always pee in the outside, and they cut the trees and cut the grass and all these things. So when they do that, if there is a naga residing in that place, and if you have done that, it will cause harm to the nagas. And then nagas will cause harm to you by giving kind of harms in your body, like rashes and so forth. Like, so when we, in the West, we say, oh, don't touch that, this is a poison ivy. And if you touch that, you'll get rashes on your body. But then it's not true to everybody, right? Some people get, some people don't get. So everybody doesn't get rash from that same, same tree or same grass. Some people get, some people don't get. So why is it like that? So there's a confusion like that, and therefore it could be a naga causing, and harm to the people, giving rashes and acne on their body, but just didn't know, it was caused by naga.
제가 대상 군디고 송도 아니 가 게토 땅게메스 뭐다 마마 나와서 돼 뭐다 마마 이제 코라서 가도 이제 대화도 동하면 더 칭소래 제가 아는 콘소 게토 땅게메 송도 와서 제가 던져 올려도 간제 단 미치다 마마나 코로 가서 나지 대화도 동하면 더 칭소 아니 콘소래 껴셔와서 아니 되게 가도라 투노용 거 그래서.
And so there's a spirit, that's causing harm also, and especially like when you're doing some dharma practice, or then some dharma, the ceremony, then the spirit can cause harm. So there's a kind of a tradition, of making offering to the obstacles, to prevent that obstacles, like during the initiations like that. So now His Holiness, so I'm not going to do that anymore because it's kind of causing harm to the spirits, right? Stopping them. Making them to do the things that they don't want to do, or and anyway somewhere. So just like us, they are same kind of a being, wanting to be happy and not wanting any suffering. So it should just not cause any suffering to them.
Thank you.
제가 제가도 배 누구 시선도나 배래다 배나 간도 배나 나와라 아릴다 바지 누구 소잡사 말어. 아니 나도 더 고마잖아. 저거 소잡나. 저거 나도 넣었지도 코랑 퍼탁 쳐야지다. 아니 그 나도 소잡으러 왔어. 나도 그 내가 저도 잡이 말아와.
So do you get snake bites around here?
Not in Massachusetts. There's no poisonous snakes here. Well, maybe bites, but it's not poisonous. But other states have them in the United States.
Yeah, the people feel like, the moment the snake come, they will come and bite you, like it's not like that, right? So snake come to bite you to protect itself, not because it wants to bite you, but to protect. So if you go close to them or you cause harm to them, then they come and bite you. So that's to protect themselves.
두지 손다이도 대나간도 배나 가로 샘제지도 그 코로나나 코나 뿌듯 판토용도 돼 가지고 라콘.
Porcupine.
제가 코랑 그 뿌듯 이제 코랑 퍼탁 쳐야지다. 나 가지고 코라 내가 찍으려나 그때 땅용 거라. 제가 다 그 가지고 내가 제르다 가지고 코라 내가 제르다. 다 그렇게 해야 돼.
What do you call that? Spokes or the
Quills.
Huh? Quills.
Quills. Quills. Quills.
It's true that it shoots with these quills?
No.
No?
You have to touch them.
You have to touch. Okay.
Yeah.
But it will shoot.
Oh.
Does it come out of it? No.
Yeah, it comes off. Yes.
Comes
Dogs
off.
get it a lot. Very bad for dogs.
Oh. Yeah.
They
So
smell and they get in their mouth.
제가 대체와도 코랑 소접 쳐야지다. 코치야 맞아. 그 길에 누가 쳐야지도 말아와.
So they do that to protect themselves, right? Not to cause harm to others.
Right.
제가 가도 두 죄송하다 가도 삼나 고발아야지 내기도.
So if we think in that way, then it will make sense to us.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Now who's okay, Maureen?
Thank you, Geshe. I wanted to ask you about something. Sometimes I have mentioned to some of my family members, like if something happens that's like an accident or something like that, and they're saying, oh, it was their fault. They get kind of really negative about it. And I'll say, oh, don't worry about it. It couldn't happen if I didn't create the cause for it anyway. And so they'll say, like, that's like, you're like self-deprecating. They'll tell me I'm being self-deprecating, to myself, which I don't really agree with, but that, is there anything I can do to, I don't know, to help them to understand, or do I just not even say anything? I don't know, because they worry about me sometimes, because my attitude is very different than theirs, you know. So I'm just curious about how I should deal with that.
그래서
다 먼저 뭐로 동도 잡아 있나? 아나 믿어서 좀 소소 셴라 가지고라다. 그들 땅서 거든 뭐스면 걔가 말아 코란 먼저 가지고야 말아 나랑 게 레사 버려. 나랑 게 마사는 나 동도 자요 말했어. 동도 태요 말했어. 아 this 저런 사람한테 건조했으나 나 저런데 저런 게 되는데 사무다라 가지고 오늘 되는 말에 지금도 사. 내가 간데스 챤나 가이너스.
그다음에 걔 만약에도 코로나 다 샤샤는 야쇼르면 난도 따와된 따다를 남나 코도 걔는 말 코로나 다 남주 가든나 소소 따와 문제서 매지 다 돼도 전에 걔만 코 다 샤샤는 티가 쬐자요 말했어.
So if they don't accept that at all, you know, then there is nothing you can really do about it. You know, just leave them as it is. You know, usually, you know, if they're from different belief, right, then it's very difficult, you know, to explain. So instead of, you know, when you try to explain like that, then it gets into argument. Then that's not good. So just leave it like that. Don't have to explain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
제가 탐탐 산지 좀 되는 게 맞아와도 레레서 있더라고요. 됐고 레 맞아고다 어떻게 되겠다.
So sometimes, you know, Buddha says, sometimes not answering is the answer itself. So don't answer, then that becomes answer itself.
대군에 내가 해도 없나. 그 야가 말하면 누가 말하나 그디 그런 거 봐줘도 그 야가 저는 야가를 말한다 그디 액셉 제 말이요. 아니 저한테 야가 람매와 있나? 아니 그 레다가 그랬대. 저때 레드 꽃 따다 녹으면 그래서로 가지. 딱 칸에 저때 말을었나 그 봐줘 켈랭 말았을 그 카좀 되잖아 약속을.
So, you know, if the other person says something and then if you say, no, it's not like that, then that may be, you know, that may cause problem in your relationship to that person. You know, that person might not like it. But if you just stay quiet, even though you're saying no, but if you just stay quiet, then that person will get it, you know, so will get the answer.
Okay. Ed?
Excellent. I understand the point where something happens, you view it in terms of the maturation of your own karma and the cause is something you did in a past life. How that's, you know, it happens, but when do you let go of that? Because sometimes, as Deborah mentioned, the West, guilt is sort of a profession in the West. And how do we make sure that that one thought process doesn't happen over the same event for 20 years? Let me put it differently. Did Milarepa ever think about the fact that he killed his uncle? Yeah. Was there any guilt? How did he deal with that all of his life? Because I think that's something we have to deal with. If it happens today, okay, but stuff that happened 20 years ago, for 20 more years, you keep on telling yourself that it's the maturation of your own karma. That then becomes just one affliction. I don't know.
So you mean like blaming to yourself for having created that negative karma for the experience, for the bad experiences you're having now?
Just not being able to let go of it, carrying it around your whole life like a suitcase.
So you mean like the guilt?
Every time it happens, okay, it was it's my negative karma. It was negative karma 20 years ago. Now it's negative karma 30 years ago. Now it's negative karma 40 years ago. But it's the same event. It keeps reoccurring. You mentioned when you were young, the yak with the bloody nose. It's like Milarepa's uncle. How often do you still think about the yak with the bloody nose? When can you let go?
소소서 카드해줘라. 소소서 쩐다 카드해야 돼. 내 전에 거란들이 차송세 지어라다. 저랑 경험을 저랑 병실에 저랑 게 때는 야기 때는 나타데 슈트 숙심부터 이제 Then not the chain, then the task shoot and the Joran Joba Shugasa, the Joba Jorata, some Joba Sundra. The Kadu, the Lotan to the Tang, led to shoot songs. Led to shoot songs. Tanga that hit can get in the net because of the they would do younger some much cooler. And that they lost some lot that the Joran de Chaneta Taka, lost some ship in the Resara. And then that around the Joba the Kedras, the Joba the Yoras around. And yet, the Jobas and Ataji Sosola Katuja, Katuedi. Did not Yoras. That did the Kadilo down to rescue. Happened to them, Melaba Koran, Ashan Severa, Ashan get Nami Severa, the Koran. Nami Severa, Koran, Taji, Koran Katsura, Koran, the Kadulo down to rest.
제 장아 아니 되게 제 제니 아니 소소가 가로 디체다 개와 가세 마 들어 삼지 아니 소소들 아타티 야부 종송섬 토알레고서 봐. 아니 디가 꼭 매도 그래.
It's difficult to say, when you can get rid of it, but because of that, then you practice. Oh yeah, I've done that bad thing, and so I should purify that native karma. In order to do so, I'm going to do this practice, like 100 silver mantra or making prostrations and so forth. So you do till you get a good feeling. So you get a good feeling. So when you get that good feeling, then you let go. So of course, it is very difficult to say when will you get that good feeling and how much of practice will make you get that get that good feeling, and so forth. It's very difficult to say, but you will get that good feeling, and then then it's gone already.
양 삼삼양아도 대 번나가서 소소가 메세 냠려잖아. 디콜라 삼모처럼 마다나 야도 디콜라 삼다나 그 두두 랭도.
But for some people who are not able to do that, then maybe should not think about that too much. And not able to do the practice. So thinking that can make you, induce you to do the practice. That's good, right? But some people then that breaks them down and causes them to do bad things and things like that. Then that's not good, So for that, maybe it's not good to think about those skills.
제가 단대 깽이 샤절로는 딘디가 딘디 누가 제발된다 야본 정무도서는 되게 깽한 바 되게 때네 수수지라 계획이 샘 깨와나 다 깽이 샤절로 제가 따다 이렇게 올다대.
And so just like it is saying, they're converting the unfortunate conditions into a path, to enlightenment. But when you have that kind of thought, and then that thought makes you to do the practice, and then that practice leads you to the path to enlightenment, then that really becomes that unfortunate circumstances has become a condition for you to enter into the path to enlightenment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I think now we are over time. But this is you're in the center here. You have to get out, get to your car, make total matchup. This is just you leave the online, then you are already at home. Okay. If taught to some, not if, taught to, a little bit, think about positive practice, try to get something essence practice, every day, okay? Therefore, I'm taught to, also not always talking, taught to a little bit meditation. And meditation really makes to practice. I go over those, you just talk, then just leave that. Include myself. It's not like that. Okay, now we finish. Pray.
Saji perke jukching metok tram ri ram ling jini de gyampa di sange jing di mutu wagi droku nam da jing la chur pa shu je tsun lame kote rapten jing lam ka trin le chok jer ge pa dang lo sang ten pedrin me sasungi roe mun sel tak tu ne gyur chig yidam guru ratna mandalakam yiryatayami. The short long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion, to the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech me all your holy wishes be fulfilled. A short long life prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the subduer's mortal way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Majjhima's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and other your disciples, please, please live long. Through this virtue, may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Mig me tse we te chen chen rizik, dream ken pe wang po jong pel yang. Gang chen ke pe tsu gen Tsongkhapa, lo sang dra pe jabla so wa de. Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, Damchala.
Thank you, everyone. Just a couple quick announcements because we're late here. Geshe-la continues in the third teaching on the Heart Sutra on Wednesday, and then on Friday at 7 o'clock, it's Lama Zopa Guru Puja, and then also one-on-ones immediately following this.
And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is teaching starting tomorrow night at 10:30 on the Heart Sutra, and you can watch them the next day as well. It'll be teaching for 3 days starting tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hope everyone has a wonderful day, wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.